All right, so students are working on ordering a number line when there's already dashes on it for right now. So I have a number line here that runs from 0 all the way to 3. Okay? And then you'll see I have these little dashes in between. And so what we're working on right now in 4th grade is, what does this dash represent? Because it's not full 2, it's more than 2, but it's also less than 3. So it's going to be a fraction. So we have to figure out, well, what fraction is it going to be? If I divided these into groups, what would each of these represent? Okay, so the way I've taught students to do this, let's say I want to know what this mark is right below my star, so this line here. Okay, so I've asked students to, in between whole numbers, so let's say from 1 to 2, find out how many jumps there are in between. How many sections are there? So if I start at 1, I have 1 jump, 2 jumps, and 3 jumps. So that 3 is going to be my denominator. I know that whatever I have in this whole number line, it's out of groups of 3, because I have 1, 2, 3 in between each whole number. Okay, so if I want to find out this fraction here, I know my denominator is 3. Okay, now finding my numerator is pretty simple too. How many jumps did I make? I made 1, so that is my numerator. It's as simple as that. And then this comes after the whole number 1, so this line here shows 1 and 1/3. I had 3 sections. I wanted to know the jump for just 1, that's my numerator, and it comes after the whole number 1, so 1 must be included. This mark is 1 and 1/3. Okay, so I wanted to know this one. Okay, again, I already know my numerator is 3 because there's 3 jumps. I know my numerator is 2 because 1, 2, it's the second grouping. And my whole number is going to come from 2 because it comes after the number 2. So this is 2 and 2/3. Okay? If I wanted to know this one, there's only one thing that's different here. My denominator is going to be 3 because all the other sections are 3. And I jumped 1 time. So it's just 1/3 this time. There's no whole number to put here because this is a number between 0 and 1. There's not a whole of it yet. So this marking here would just be 1/3, which means this would be 2/3. Okay, then jumping back here, this was 1 and 1/3, so this would be 1 and 2/3. And students might say, well, when I get to 2, I would write that down as 1 and 3/3, right? Okay, well, 3 over 3 makes a whole. If I have 3 groups of 3, that gives me 1 whole. And I already have a whole. So 1 plus 1 gives you 2. So 2 is a faster way to write that. Then this one would be 2 and 1/3. Okay, so that's kind of how we've been working on placing the number line and talking about why whole numbers are the way they are. Okay, now the second part, let's look at this a different way. Let's say now, okay, we already know to count the jumps to figure out my denominator, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So up here, I'm just going to make myself a little note that 5 is my denominator. And I'm just going to abbreviate for the sake of the video. Okay, now sometimes students will get a problem that might say, to find what number goes here, but that they want it not in a mixed number, like we had back here, 2 and 1/3, but they want it in an improper fraction. Okay, sometimes students are going to be asked to do that, not all the time, but just so I can see that they understand the reverse way of doing it. Okay, so I'm telling students to figure out what is the mixed number first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We already said we know our denominator is 5. Okay, how many jumps did I make to here? I made 1, 2, 3. So that's 3, my numerator. It's a number between 1 and 2. It's not quite 2, so my 1 is going to be my whole number. Okay. Now, if you need help turning mixed numbers into mixed numbers into improper fractions, there is a video on the website to help you with that. So I'm just going to walk through this quickly, and if it confuses you, I would recommend going back to those videos and figuring out the steps of that, because there's a couple different processes of how to do that. So if I want to do this quickly, I'm just going to do 5 times 1, which gives me 5, because I have 5 groups with 1 in each, and then I have 3 extra. So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 gives me 8. And my denominator stays the same, So if this problem asks me to write that number that goes in that spot as an improper fraction, that's how I do it. Now, some students today, this doesn't work in this one, but some students got an improper fraction here, and they wanted to simplify it because they knew that they could each be divided evenly by something. That's fine if they want to simplify it. It won't be wrong, but they do not have to at this point. Okay, so I just wanted to walk through that. Again, if you need help going from a mixed number to an improper fraction, I would go back to the how-to videos on our website. But hopefully this helped to show you how to mark fractions on a number line and then how to convert them into improper fractions. Thank you for watching.